Today, India is home to 200 billionaires, some of whom are among the wealthiest individuals on the planet. But rewind to just a few generations ago, and the landscape was entirely different. Under British rule, India was one of the most impoverished regions in the world, despite being home to rich cultural and historical wealth. In 1947, when India gained independence from British rule, the newly formed nation was grappling with economic devastation. For 200 years, the British Empire had systematically drained the country of its resources, leaving it economically crippled. India's riches had always been legendary. Before the British arrived, the country was known for its opulence, from the Mughal Empire's fabled treasures to its thriving global trade in spices, textiles, and gems. Yet, by the time the British left, India was one of the poorest nations in the world. At independence, the country had to start from scratch. The colonial period left India largely agrarian, with limited industry and infrastructure, high illiteracy rates, and deeply entrenched socio-economic divides. It was a long, hard road from this bleak beginning to the glittering fortunes of today's billionaires. Post-independence, India's economic policies were initially focused on self-reliance and state-controlled industries. Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru believed in a socialist model where key industries such as steel, coal, and energy were controlled by the government. The vision was to build an industrial base that could serve the needs of a growing population. While this laid a foundation for the future, it also resulted in a slow and cumbersome economic system that discouraged private enterprise and foreign investment. But despite this, there were a few individuals who managed to thrive in this era. One such figure was J.R.D. Tata, the industrialist who would go on to become a symbol of Indian business acumen. Tata had taken over the reins of Tata Sons in 1938 and helped expand the company into sectors such as steel, aviation, automobiles, and even hospitality. Under his leadership, Tata became synonymous with trust, innovation, and integrity. The Tata family legacy began in the late 19th century with Jamsetji Tata, who laid the foundation for India's industrial revolution. However, it was under JRD's stewardship that the group expanded into aviation with Air India, and Tata Motors became a household name. Tata Steel, meanwhile, became a crucial pillar of India's industrial growth. In contrast, Dhirubhai Ambani, the founder of Reliance Industries, emerged from more humble beginnings. Born in a rural village in Gujarat, Ambani started his career working in Yemen before returning to India and starting Reliance as a textile business in the 1960s. He quickly understood the power of the stock market and made it accessible to everyday Indians. Ambani's revolutionary approach to business, he was willing to take big risks, disrupt industries, and leverage the power of capital markets, made him a standout figure in post-independence India. Reliance expanded from textiles to petrochemicals and telecommunications, becoming one of India's most valuable companies. Dhirubhai's entrepreneurial spirit injected a new energy into Indian capitalism, creating wealth not just for himself, but for millions of shareholders. Despite the challenges of navigating a heavily controlled economy, early visionaries like Tata and Ambani proved that Indian entrepreneurs had the potential to create immense wealth even under tough conditions. They laid the groundwork for a new era of wealth creation. The true transformation, however, occurred in the 1990s with the liberalization of the Indian economy. Up until this point, India had remained largely closed off from global markets. The economy was regulated by a complex system of licenses, permits, and quotas that stifled growth and innovation. But in 1991, India was facing a major financial crisis. It had run out of foreign exchange reserves, and the government had to mortgage gold to avoid defaulting on international loans. This crisis forced India to open up its economy. Foreign investment was encouraged, industries were deregulated, and trade barriers were lowered. For the first time, Indian entrepreneurs were free to compete on a global stage, and they seized the opportunity. New industries like IT, telecommunications, and pharmaceuticals began to flourish. Globalization allowed Indian companies to expand beyond the domestic market and tap into the growing demand for goods and services around the world. The most striking example of this wealth explosion is the rise of tech entrepreneurs like N.R. Narayana Murthy, the co-founder of Infosys. Founded in 1981, Infosys started with just a few employees and a capital of $250. Narayana Murthy's vision was to create a global software services company that could provide outsourcing solutions to the world. His leadership and the dedication of his team turned Infosys into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, employing over 300,000 people today. Infosys and companies like it played a key role in positioning India as the back office of the world. Indian engineers, software developers, and IT professionals became sought after globally, and tech cities like Bangalore emerged as innovation hubs. The success of Infosys, Wipro, and TCS, Tata Consultancy Services, put Indian tech entrepreneurs on the global map and contributed to the rise of a new class of billionaires. Meanwhile, Mukesh Ambani took Reliance to new heights. After Dhirubhai's death in 2002, Mukesh and his brother Anil split the company. While Anil's fortunes dwindled, Mukesh's star rose. Under Mukesh's leadership, Reliance diversified into telecommunications with Reliance Jio, which revolutionized the mobile data market in India by offering affordable 4G services. Jio's success made Mukesh Ambani one of the richest men in the world, with a net worth of over 117 billion as of 2024. Today, India's richest are no longer confined to traditional industries like manufacturing and textiles. The country's wealthiest individuals now span sectors such as technology, pharmaceuticals, finance, and retail. Gautam Adani, for example, has built a vast empire spanning energy, logistics, and infrastructure, positioning himself as one of the wealthiest men on the planet. The rapid creation of wealth in the 21st century marks a sharp contrast to the days of the British Raj, where wealth was largely concentrated in the hands of colonial powers. India's billionaires are self-made, having leveraged the opportunities provided by liberalization and globalization to build vast business empires. But while the number of billionaires continues to grow, so does the gap between the rich and the poor. India remains home to one of the largest populations living in poverty, with millions lacking access to basic services like clean water, healthcare, and education. The rise of billionaires in India has brought into sharp focus the issue of income inequality. According to Oxfam, the richest 1% of Indians own more than 40% of the country's total wealth, while the bottom half of the population holds just 3%. However, many of India's billionaires are acutely aware of these challenges and are taking steps to address them through philanthropy. Mukesh Ambani's Reliance Foundation, led by his wife Nita Ambani, has invested heavily in education, healthcare, and rural development. Azim Premji, founder of Wipro, is another example of a billionaire who has committed significant resources to philanthropic efforts. In fact, Premji has donated over $21 billion to charitable causes, focusing on improving education and healthcare in India's underserved communities. The tension between wealth creation and social justice is one that will shape India's future for decades to come. Looking ahead, the role of billionaires in shaping India's destiny cannot be understated. As the country grapples with issues like poverty, income inequality, and sustainable development, the contributions of its wealthiest citizens will be critical in defining what kind of nation India will become. Be sure to check out our next video on the secrets to Singapore wealth, and thanks for watching.